Hello, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex, and today is a trauma anniversary, and I'm not feeling well at all. So, I figured adrenaline rush time, and today's video is about something that's been on my mind lately just because I have noticed the progress I've made in this, and it has helped me survive quite a few low points. And that is the self-love that I have cultivated over the past however many years of working on it. And just reflecting on how much that's changed from my starting point in recovery, which I very much struggled a lot with self-hate. That struggle still pops up, but it's much more dulled down. And so if what I went through is helpful, I'm very happy to share that. So let's just get right into it. When I started in recovery, one of my goals was to learn self-love. And I was starting off in being consumed by self-hate. And when I first thought about self-love, it felt unachievable to me because my self-hate felt so permeated into my personality. I never thought that I could get out of it at all because it was just like, well, that's just who I am. That's a part of my personality. That's just a part of how I survive. There's no way that I can unlearn that. And it was a very daunting feeling. I remember taking like a quiz of how much my life was affected by narcissistic abuse, and it's like, you are the most affected by it, like this is a huge problem in your life, and thinking that that would never change. And after some reflection and a lot of mental work, I have slowly moved that towards self-love. And a big important part of that is realizing where the self-hate comes from. Why is that a symptom of abuse? And that's because self-hate is taught to us by abusers. Abusers are swimming in self-hate, and when they project that hatred onto us, we learn it. Abusive action is driven by that inner turmoil that a person has and their unwillingness to accept themselves or others. And so when that action is put on us, it's almost like that puts it into us, and it infects our brains with the same struggle and illness of I am worthless, I don't amount to anything. And it's really hard to get out of that, especially when you're a child abuse survivor, because then that self-hate was put into your brain at a very young, vulnerable age. And so unlearning that, it feels counterintuitive and counter-survivable, if that makes sense, of, wait, this is how I survive. I cannot live without this. Because we learn how to integrate that into our lives, and we believe that self-hate is the only way that we stay good people. It's because we are harsh on ourselves and we have these expectations for ourselves, even though, we don't live up to those expectations all the time and then drown ourselves in judgment. But it's really hard to see another way of living when that's all you know. And so how I got out of self-hate and being entrenched in it was through several stages or several steps. The first stage or step that I had to go through is realizing that my mistakes aren't special, or that my mistakes aren't worse than everybody else's. And what really helped me with this was a recovery video by J.P. Spears, where he was talking about how it is delusional to see yourself worse than others, because that would make you special in a way. And that hit on me where I'm like, well, I don't want to think of myself as special in that regard, or I don't want to be delusional about myself and have that affect people in a negative way. And so acknowledging, hey, everybody makes mistakes, and I'm included in that everybody. I'm a human like everyone else. I am human. So if everybody's mistakes, if I can have empathy for everybody else's mistakes and be like, well, that's a part of life because life is difficult, then I should be able to allow myself that same grace and that same attitude about it. The second stage, that was probably the most difficult one for me to really absorb into my foundational thinking, is humanizing myself and allowing myself to be grouped up with everyone, not only for my mistakes, but for the good things that I have accomplished, for my progress that I have made, and putting out the empathy that I have for others onto myself. And I've talked about this a lot and have spoken about how a big chunk of that was also talking to other survivors and feeling empathy for them, and that allowing me to feel empathy for myself and refusing to dehumanize myself anymore. Which a lot of that is just routine and habitual. So then you have to unlearn that habit of, oh, I feel bad, so I'm going to dehumanize myself. Instead of being like, okay, I feel bad. What do I need? Do I need rest? Do I need connection? Do I need to journal? And taking a new problem-solving approach to it that is not drenched in that abuser's mindset that they put into us when we were younger. And the last stage, which is the one that I'm going through right now, which has been really intense, for lack of a better word. It's just been really emotional, is acknowledging my strength of survival and looking back on my past and appreciating my brain and how it figured out how to survive very difficult situations, and appreciating the amount of pain that I've been through, and allowing myself not necessarily to feel pride over it, but to feel a sense of accomplishment of, I survived these things. I have endurance. I have perseverance. Even if I don't want endurance and perseverance, I have those things, and it's worth celebrating myself over. It's worth giving myself grace and trust that I know what I need and that I am smart enough to figure out life. And probably the hardest part of trauma recovery is that, because for a long time I hated those parts of my brain, the angry voice, the other voices that would tell me the rules all the time and shoot all those angry things at me, when they were compartmentalizing that, and they were trying to save other people from harm by putting that on me. And I am grateful that that is the way that my brain was set up, because I know that there's other people who really struggle with that, and their projection goes outside instead of inside. And it gives me the feeling like I allowed myself time and space to sort out the abuse while minimalizing the projection harm onto the people that I love. Now, was I perfect? Heck no. I have definitely projected and harmed other people without meaning to. But I still appreciate that under the duress that my brain has been in for my entire life, it handled it very well. And a lot of us in these recovery spaces have that in common, where our brains have handled it very well. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it great to have flashbacks and to suffer with all this stuff? No. I'm not saying it's a party walk. I'm saying that our brains are amazing. They really are. a lot of us would be dead without the creative ways that our brains have taken in the abuse and tried to spread it around and have tried to allow us to still stay connected to our bodies despite everything that we've been through. And a big part of shifting that is changing your inner dialogue. And I have spoken on this before about having more empathy for your inner critic and to validate the emotion that they're trying to display. For example, the self-hate of like, oh, I hate myself, I'm worthless, all of that is a way to communicate, I am feeling very intensely. I am drowning in anger, I am drowning in sadness, and it's a very strong feeling that I can't seem to pinpoint, which is also an emotional flashback. And acknowledging that of, okay, there's a huge ball of negative emotion going on in my body right now. How can I express this? How can I get this out? And at first, a lot of suicidal ideation will be filling my head or, stuff like that. And then making that transition of, that's valid. That feeling is understandable. Can we draw it out? Can we write it out? Can we talk it out and allow those tears to come out so it's not just staying trapped inside my body, making me feel awful? And that takes, again, just practice and making that a habit of when those feelings do come up, instead of just battling through the throes of suicidal ideation, being like, okay, I can put this out of my body and make art out of it and really appreciate the art that comes from it. Yeah. So the dog barking is resetting my brain, so that's also fun. I am very grateful for all the new subscribers. I'm also somewhat disassociated today, if that's not clear by my face and my nerves. And the dog barking is going to drive me insane, so I should probably go take care of that right now. But thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for all the comments and all the engagement. I really appreciate everyone, and thank you for spending some time with me on a trauma anniversary that I've been scared of all week, and I'm excited for today to be over. That's for sure. So thank you, and have good ones.